This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Nice, easy names to say. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via, get your pens and papers ready, frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Andrew S.
Yes.
has been in touch. He shared an image with us. He says, hello, long-time listener. He doesn't say hello. I think I added that to make it more radio-friendly. Anyway.
Do you think it's Andy Saltzman, the popular sports reporter, who's calling himself Andrew S?
Well,
Oh, he's a Z, isn't he? That's right. It's
Lovely.
not him. It's all right, it's not him, relax. It's
Well, I
not
know
going to be
it's
a
not
load of statistics about the last left-hander to score 50 before lunch at the Oval.
I know it's not him because his handle, yes, I said handle,
Yeah.
is at Andy Pandy 1987.
Oh, is it really?
Now, Zaltzman, forgive me, Zaltzman, but I think 1987, I think a lot had happened. He had a lot under his belt by that stage.
I don't know. I tell you what I love is when you see someone who's in a job where you think, if you'd offered this person any job on the planet, this is the one they would have taken. And Andy Zaltzman as the official score person for Test Match Special, etc. Oh, man.
Yeah.
A pig in... Well, anyway, he's very happy.
Goodness sake. Well, Andrew S., long-time tweet...
Not him. So not Andy Zaltzman.
No.
Okay.
Long time. I mean, it's quite a build-up for a nice tweet. But
I
long-time listener, first-time tweeter. I found a bar in Newcastle that has a full-size Dalek as part of its decor. He says, very niche. And then he's given it a hashtag Dalek Decor. And I'm just not confident I can really see that taking off. I mean, it's not going to be trending. Hashtag Dalek Decor.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there's a bit of my brother-in-law's house. When I sit in the garden there in the summer, the next door neighbour's got a Dalek. So there are a few, and my management company.
Decor.
Yeah, my management company had I think what was formerly Harry Hill's Dalek in the.
Also, there is the possibility of an episode where the Daleks are at home and we get to discuss their decor.
Well, we do see them at home occasionally. They go for a sort of brutalist mechanic vibe. Yeah, very metallic.
That is sort of what I would have guessed, rather than a kind of chintzy Laura Ashley vibe.
There's no room for a soft furnishing in a Dalek home.
Why didn't they? Yeah.
Well, I think they're missing out there.
So there was one when they had
Sorry.
a cocktail party, and what they'd done is they'd cut these avocados in half and left the stone in. So they had that raised stone, and then they put them all together to form a Dalek.
I'm surprised the female Daleks didn't have...
The female Daleks?
Yeah, the female Daleks.
That's a very good question.
Wait, Frank.
Who are the female Daleks?
Why didn't they have those lashes like they have on the cars?
Oh, that
on
would
the
have been
headlamps.
brilliant. I haven't seen any of those headlamp lashes for a long time.
And maybe, Frank, the female Daleks. They must have wives, these people, to go home to. And then maybe a lovely pinafore. You know those half pinnies?
Oh,
half
yes.
apron.
I like the plastic house coat with some quilting. I'd like to see that. I sat behind a woman on the bus this week, and she had such long false lashes on. No disrespect, Sarah. That I was looking through them down the bus. It's literally like looking through a beaded curtain at the world. I was looking through someone else's lashes. They were so long and lustrous.
Yeah.
It's never quite got the false lashes thing, but they do look, great in a sort of Alice Cooper kind of a way.
Yeah.
Again, no offence, Sarah. Has she got? Yes, she has. How early do you have to get up to put them babies in place?
That's our texting this morning.
Yeah, they come with like a little black helmet at the top of them. Love it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Katie Collister has been in touch.
Katie Collister. Like it.
Following on from a recent podcast, Frank's love of typewriters,
Oh, yes.
you and Tanksy I think you and Hanksy would get on very well, you know.
Do you remember when Hanksy used to post, I think it was on his Twitter, would post pictures of things he'd seen lying about in the street, like gloves.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
He's an interesting individual.
He'd be a lovely friend for you, Frank.
Yeah, I don't think me and him are going to get to know each other somewhere.
Why not? You sometimes get lovely opportunities.
And as you know, I struggle with the friends thing, generally, so complicated.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Read Frank's love of typewriters. Did you know that the longest word you can type using the top row of the keyboard is typewriter?
Do you think that's an accident?
I'll not praise, so it can't be redacted. I love I'll not.
Yeah.
Do you like that? I love a piece of information like that.
All sorts of... I was explaining to our producer and co-producer, assistant producer, was a bit of, when I said co-producer, the producer me in my kidneys. That really hurt. Digged or dog? 8, 12, 15. I was talking about the fact that the Tommy Steele Beatles connection.
Oh, yes.
Which I think I have mentioned before, but I've mentioned everything before. That's life. That Tommy Steele did the sculpture of Eleanor Rigby, which is in Liverpool, about the character from, which is a pretty unique connection, I think.
Yeah.
It's like finding out that Brian Wilson did a sculpture of Hattie Carroll from the Bob Dylan song. It's a bit like that.
It's a lot like that.
It's almost an identical thing that happened. Yeah, just different personnel. I accept that. Okay. Have we got hotels from outside? Or shall I tell you what I've been up to?
Well, we have, but I'd like to know what's happening in the world of Skinner.
Well, there's a well-trodden cliche that men can't multitask. I think we've all heard this said. And you can say what you like about men now, and I'd advise that you do that because you're safe ground. And I had the popular radio and TV presenter Adrian Chiles come round my house on Sunday. He's actually my son's godfather. And my son, Boz, has recently taken to goalkeeping in quite a big way. I did everything to talk him out of it.
Why?
I don't know, because I think, you want to be out there running around and with a chance of glory. But he really likes the gloves. And so he's doing the... Now, Adrian Chiles used to be a goalkeeper. Don't know if you know this.
Right.
So he came round to give Boz a goalkeeping masterclass. And I mean, like, with a series of drills.
How was it?
Things to do. It was very impressive. But in the midst, and I mean literally in the midst, not before or after, he would do a couple of drills, and while Boz he would then go across to my kitchen, and during the course of the goalkeeping masterclass, he constructed a baba ganoush.
Nice.
Now,
I mean,
I bet that doesn't happen on the FA badges days.
You don't see De Gea doing that. I mean, there's all sorts.
It was... and he didn't have the gloves on or anything. It was often gloves, goalie gloves, often gloves, goalie gloves. It was, and you wouldn't notice
Never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, it was.
I think that should be factored into each. That you should have to go off and create a dish.
Yeah,
You should have. You should be able to multitask.
There used to be a sport called chess boxing, which was a combination of the two activities, the physical and the cranial. And I thought it was like it was a fabulous piece of juxtaposition. I enjoyed it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Anyway, don't forget this morning's phone in. Sharon Stone. Is it time she went metric?
Oh, good.
Speaking of which...
Oh, God, sorry, Frank.
Do people still give a pint of blood? Do you still give a pint in these metric ages?
I don't know what... they might have gone literage.
Yeah, litre feels like a bit too much, doesn't it? I know Tony Hancock famously said a pint was almost an armful.
And do you still get a biscuit?
On a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Anyone who gives blood, if that still... Does that still happen? It must do. They've got to get it from somewhere.
That definitely still happens.
Unless they're doing their own slaughtering.
Maybe.
Yeah. Is it still a pint, and do you still get a cup of tea and a biscuit? And do you get a little... There was a little book as well that you used to get stamped.
Oh, really?
Anyway, 8, 12, 15... I don't know why I stopped. I used to give regularly. I got my first badge, and then something happened.
Oh, I can't really, I'm afraid, to... I don't want to go into the details, but I can't afford to give the blood, I'm afraid.
Well, my...
Anemic.
People used to sell their blood, of course. My mate was in New York. My mate was in New York, and he tried to give blood, just as not for money, just as a kind of a... And they wouldn't have it because they said they didn't take it from British people because they were worried about mad cow disease.
Oh, that's a shame.
That takes you back, doesn't it? If you want to get into some medical health hysteria, nostalgia, mad cow disease.
I mean, why would you?
That's a good one.
Nick Smith, I did...
Nick Smith?
I brought this on myself.
Okay.
With the hashtag Dalek Decor.
Oh, yeah.
But we're getting some Dalek stuff in.
Okay.
Hi, Frank on the radio and gang. Here's my dad's Dalek dressed as a shepherd for Christmas.
Nice.
I appreciate this is largely a visual conceit here. But I think I might actually retweet this because it's quite the sight, I have to say. It's got the tea towel around the head, the Dalek.
Okay, I can. The Dalek's head fits. I tell you what I like is the headlight shining through the tea towel is what I like at night.
It kind of works.
And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer thinking, excuse me, that's my act.
And then John Hopkins.
Has it got a crook?
Oh, yes, it's got a crook.
Oh, that's good.
The trouble is, Frank, I'm not familiar with what is part of its body and what has been sort of thrust onto it. It has got a crook. Does it have a weird plunger thing sticking out of it, a Dalek?
Yes.
Centre?
There are variations on Daleks. Recently they had, automatic weaponry instead of the old thing that looked like a curling tongue.
Okay.
But the soccer is it's a
There's
classic
sort of a bathroom
Dalek.
plunger, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's very good.
John Hopkins, you're familiar with his work?
Yes, of course. Hopkins.
Years ago, in the course of my job, I had to deliver bad news to a family. Oh. I composed myself and walked into their lounge, only to be greeted by a full-size Dalek. It's quite difficult to remain solemn when you're flanked by Davros and a Cyberman.
Well, they were there as well.
Well, this is what I can't work out.
There's a lot of it about. I think you'll find there's a great many Doctor Who enthusiasts. I think you should need to accept that, and it's fine.
I'm saying nothing.
My cardboard cutout Dalek was destroyed by the wind. It split across the waist.
Oh, Lee Mack's got a massive Dalek in his room.
Has he? Well, maybe he's got more money than me. Who's got more money, me or Lee Mack? 8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you what, you've lit up the switchboard by discussing what you get when you give blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if people still give blood. A lot of people saying that you still get biscuits and cups of tea.
Oh, good.
Just as an example, 838, the biscuit selection when you give blood is incredible.
There was no selection when I gave blood.
Well, there is one fly in the ointment out of many, many text messages. 167 has said, never get a cup of tea where I am in Sussex. Usually get a packet of crisps or a digestive. No chalky biscuits anymore. I put a bit of tone on that.
I liked it. I tell you what I liked about it. It was a bit old-fashioned. It was a bit tit-feel Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
I like that.
So that's where we're at on the blood donation. You're probably wondering if I give. I would, but I can't because I haven't got any. I'm a robot.
Oh. I never knew that.
It was a sad day when we found that out.
Have you told us that before? I didn't know that.
No, but it's really put me off.
I must have forgot. Colourblind and a robot.
Yeah, it's an unusual bit of the Venn diagram.
We've also had someone tell us how much you and Lee Mack are worth.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When you Google a celebrity,
Those things
it
are
says
always
net
wrong.
worth.
They're always wrong. Do you
Whenever
want to know what it says?
Whenever you look up a celebrity, you always are offered net worth. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
Well, they've told us your net worth. I mean,
I don't think we should be so sordid
No,
as to
I
read
would
it.
never be so vulgar. But
And I
I'm
don't
just
think,
saying.
even if it's wrong, I wouldn't do that to Lee.
I'm
no.
just saying that someone. The information is out there.
Okay. Well, no.
Okay.
Feel free to Google. I'll tell you. I would like to discuss a phenomenon.
Please do.
A phenomenon. I went to the opera.
You go a lot.
Yes, I saw the Marriage of Figaro.
And then you went to the opera.
No, it was one and the same. It was like the Baba Ganoush and the goalkeeping masterclass. It was.
Did you go
integrated.
with Joan Bakewell?
I went with Baroness Bakewell. Yes.
I mean, this is becoming quite a thing.
Well, she's a great lady.
Is it weekly, your date?
No, not quite that, but we are regular get-togethers.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a thing at the opera which happens, and it seems to me a thing that goes through society. The loudest cheer of the night is for the orchestra. They get when all the people come on who've done these fabulous singing jobs we've been watching for 3 hours 40 minutes, and they get good cheers. But when the orchestra stand up, people go crazy.
Yeah.
And it is that thing when people. It's the sort of we see past the grease paint and the surface. We know where the real value is, and it's always not quite right. Obviously, the orchestra's amazing, but surely the singers get there. Surely.
Frank,
It's like when people go on about Declan Rice and what a great player he is over someone called Jack Grealish.
Right.
Ironically, it is a bit like liking rice a lot more than the curry. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
People love that thing of, I come and call them rice enthusiasts,
Yes.
of saying, oh, yeah, Christmas is good, but I much prefer Halloween. That thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, come on.
Well, it was a bit me always targeting the drummer to fancy.
Well, people, yeah. It's like those people that used to fancy David Baddiel in Newman and Baddiel.
God, for heaven's
He won't mind that.
sake.
I think he would acknowledge the beauty of Rob Newman in those days. Young people listening to this thinking, what
What
are
about the
these
beauty
names?
of Baddiel? Very handsome man, may I say. Hello? Hello?
Sorry, let's get back on my chair.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
561 isn't listening this morning.
Okay.
561 says, I never listen live, but I'd like to know how's it going this morning.
That's nice, isn't it?
How would you rate the show on a scale of Ballet Link to Frank's Wild West Old Timer? Praise blah blah blah. That's prisoner 561 from Raffington. I love that Wild West Old Timer. That's the pinnacle.
Yeah, that's the bar. Oh, I should explain that the ballet link is one. It's a link that we discuss ballets. It might be our worst work ever. And Wild West Old Timer was me making the point that I'd gone for an audition on an American for an American TV show in which I played a lawyer, a sort of LA lawyer. And I assumed it was an English person. But when they said we need an American accent, the only one I've got is Wild West Old Timer. So I was saying, well, this sure is a difficult case to crack, Stacey. And I didn't get it. But anyway, how would I rate the show? I think it's nearer Old Timer than Ballet Link, but I can see Ballet Link in my rearview mirror.
I'm not going to lie, I'm
always see it.
slightly sad that the Adrian Chiles making Baba Ganoush whilst goalkeeping coaching has not spawned some more responses. I was hoping that somebody might have received tuition from Andy Gorham while he put a shepherd's pie together or something.
Ow!
But
I'm
that
upset
happened.
that Adrian Chiles making Baba Ganoush whilst goalkeeping has not already been turned into a popular particular Channel 5 TV show.
To me, it sounds like a really bad guess on catchphrase.
Quite a niche fantasy.
Yeah, well, they are famous. Yes, they are. They're famously odd goalkeepers as well. There was used to be said that they were all a bit,
Well, don't say as well, like Adrian. Like,
no, but I mean,
down to a T.
You can imagine them doing other strange things. I mean, the goal
I played
itself.
A bit of goalkeeper. I played in goal.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I also really liked a Michael Hardcastle football novel called Goalkeepers Are Different, and they are.
Yeah, they are though. And don't you think that the goal and the net constitute sort of sheltered accommodation? So they sort of look at home there. But yeah, there has been a series of very, very eccentric goalies.
You say that. I find the goalkeeper, I think there's a self-possession, if you'll pardon the...
Yeah.
I like that about them. They don't need the glory.
No, it's a good
And
thing.
there's something quite alluring about that.
I think it was John Borridge, the Aston Villa goalie, who used to watch Match of the Day with his gloves on, his goalie gloves on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's lots of that stuff. And, of course... who was the famous Neville Southall, the Everton goalie, who refused to go in at half-time and just stayed in the goals on his own?
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner, not the plastic replicant, on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Frank, you got to be in Doctor Who because you just asked on the radio.
I asked several times.
I've asked a number of times if I could be friends with Tom Cruise. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
Why
he's
not?
very busy, though. I think he's on
think that's
Mission
what it is?
Impossible 19.
Yeah, but I've got to get him when he's here. Can we put our heads together? I really think I'd be a lovely friend for him. I will make no demands of him.
No, I think he'd be a good friend.
I really do think we'd get on.
And the epidural thing won't be an issue.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they don't like the eppies.
Is that right?
It is. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But I could see you and him getting
Don't
on.
you think?
Yeah.
I really
See,
think.
I think I'd make quite a good friend for him because I remember that time that he was eating a curry in Birmingham and it made the papers because he enjoyed a meal and just immediately ordered it again. And I thought, that's my kind of behaviour.
Yeah, I think that was...
Do you see people, though, Frank, and think, I really wish they were my friend?
I have thought that in the past. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tracy Emin was one. Do you remember that?
Did you never successfully...
Sure.
You never quite made the conversion.
I can't do friendship. It's too complex.
Oh, you're a lovely friend.
No, but
Bleak now.
one has to accept that.
He's the loneliest man in the world.
Anyway, what's next?
Oh, I consider you...
Well,
you're in my top 5, I've told you.
You've nailed your colours to the mast there regarding your friendship, but I would like to bring up phrases like nailing your colours to the mast.
Yeah.
There's an article in the newspapers.
Oh yeah.
About
They still
about how
exist.
They've done a survey. Yes, I mean I've read it online, but I believe it was
Okay.
in the flesh as well. It was full 3D. Phrases like nailing your colours to the mast and such stuff. They've done a massive survey and they've found that a higher than expected percentage of people are not using these phrases and don't understand them. And apparently there's something going to be lost from the English language. People don't even understand phrases like pearls before swine. 78% of the people that they surveyed just didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, casting my pearls before swine is something I've used after every bad gig. In fact, every failed joke I've ever had, I've used it internally.
If you take that out of the lexicon of a comedian, what are we going to say?
That's terrible.
Oh.
I think it is. I mean, I'm sort of all right with them fading as long as they're replaced by some other goodies. But,
Well, this is it. What's it replaced by? OMG or whatever.
I just very recently I discovered No for No Worries.
Oh, I never knew about
Yeah,
that.
I like No. I've used it a couple of times.
Oh,
No.
I might put No in.
I'm slightly worried that it hasn't completely caught on, and I might be using it in some sort of vacuum.
Maybe.
Controversially, I haven't actually encountered it myself.
Well, I heard it on an episode of the Pokemon cartoon series, and they used it with
you?
tremendous confidence. So I thought, oh, this is what the kids are saying. So I've
you
said,
don't wanna-
people have asked me to do stuff, and I've said, oh, no. And no one's pulled me up on it.
You don't want to end up like, was it David Cameron that was texting LOL?
Oh, yeah.
Thinking it was lots of love, and it came
Yeah, I
out
think-
in the inquiry.
Was there a period when it was lots of love?
Yeah, there was.
I think
there?
I think it evolved to laugh out
Well,
loud.
yes, because I think it was on Letters to Pen Pals. You do LOL
Oh, was
and
it?
lots of kisses.
Pen pals.
Do you remember
Something
that?
else, whatever happened to.
That was before, and then pen pals sort of became trolls, really, didn't they?
No, I don't think that's a fair transformation.
It is really any sort of correspondence.
Okay,
Okay, thank
you're
you.
entitled to your opinion. No.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What was we? Well, yes. So phrases that are dying out. Nail your colours to the mast,
That's one. That's dying
That
out.
sort of stuff, yeah.
which is about being upfront about who you are and what you think, isn't it? Is that what that means?
Apparently, saying pip pip as goodbye is also unrecognised by millennials. I mean, I would say it's pretty much unrecognised by anyone outside of a P.G. Woodhouse
Yeah, I'd
novel.
say I've never heard anyone who wasn't wearing a monocle say goodbye, pip pip, and I'm including Mr. Peanut from the Planters Peanuts.
mean, I imagine-
and Chris Eubank.
And Jacob Rees-Mogg. You hear it a hell of a lot in the Rees-Mogg household, I
believe that of
reckon.
him.
But
Yeah.
what it says about it in this article about pip pip is that it's simulating a car horn, like you're saying goodbye to someone.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
The problems with that, I don't know about you, but for me, a car horn, the onomatopoeia I've always used is bibbing. Someone who's
I'd say
bibbing their car horn.
Oh, if I'm...
What would you say?
I would say toot.
Tooting,
Oh, I
you'd
would say beep.
beaten. Well, it's not a beat.
Isn't it interesting, though? We've all got a different car horn.
I'd say. And of course, the bloke who I mentioned years ago who said, "You ain't no tontin homo sheriff yourself." The man who wanted to stop swearing, so decided to make up his own swear words that wouldn't be swearing.
Was he a friend of our Keith's, this man?
No, he was a friend of my mate Jeff back in the Black Country, and he just briefly. He decided the best way to stop swearing was to invent some substitute words.
Hence.
But he had some strange things, and someone was teasing someone for being ugly at work. A bloke at work.
That's not
You
very
could do
kind.
it. We didn't know then. You could
Back
do it
then
then.
it was fine.
And he said, "Well, you ain't no tontin homo sheriff yourself," meaning Omar Sharif, who was in the good-looking man chair at the time.
I mean, this was a while ago.
But taunting being one of his words. And he famously, in the car, someone behind was blasting the horn.
Yeah.
And he said, "Who's a fratting papping?" So, I don't know. And I'd say bibbing their horn, I would say, but it'd be...
Was fratting similar to the sort of Grange Hill?
no, that was his own invented
Yeah.
word.
I think some of his should have really caught on. They're great.
They are, yeah. And, it gives you the same rhythm as swearing, but you're not upsetting anyone.
Whilst we're discussing phrases which are becoming a little more obsolete, Ultra Magnus, one of our regulars,
He also called someone a taunting jaker when he got really upset. Who knows what that means?
well, guess what? So do I now. From this day forward, so do I.
But he had to be really upset to get to that level.
Taunting Jacob.
Class A made up words.
Taunting Jacob. Ultra Magnus has messaged us, as I say, one of our regulars, Morning Magnus, with one of his own phrases that he fears might be in danger of being made obsolete. He's saying, whatever happened to being hoisted with your own petard, a great phrase with its origins in medieval siege weaponry. I mean, I would say, what about being hoisted with your own petard?
Strong.
Still going strong, Al?
I think it gets used on this show at least once a week, doesn't it?
But we're not typical of the general population.
I think I used it fairly recently when I was, I had what I can only describe as a stalking incident. And she said, well, you like a prank? You say you like a prank. And I said, I'm hoisted by my own petard. And I'm a bit worried that she might have a petard in her bag. A petard being a bomb. So to be hoisted by your own petard, in case you don't know, is to be blown up by your own device.
I wouldn't say you're... I mean, I wouldn't say you're typical of every man, unless every man is William Tyndale. In terms of
even that, you see, that's it. Oh, come on, now stay with us. We'll talk about Arge when you come back, just to get you all back on side.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
What's your great rock and roll moment? It has to be a moment, though. Just a moment.
I'm going to say, and I hope I think you might agree with this. It's more pop.
That's fine. That's fine. We lump them all in together.
I would say George Michael in his live performance of Somebody to Love.
Oh, yes.
There are quite a few moments in that.
Oh.
Would you agree, Frank?
Was that a video you sent of them rehearsing, or is that something else?
Yeah, there is I think YouTube, you can see him rehearsing it with, is it Seal and David Bowie having a cigarette in the corner?
How would you describe their whole...
I think they start off like, rehearsals are so boring. Then he starts hitting these notes and they're looking across going, ooh,
Yeah.
So I would select
sort of a wow vibe,
Somebody to... And then he nails that note.
There's a great dun 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 with a little help from my friends Joe Cocker. Dun 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 dun. Do you need anybody? And then he goes into an amazing Sheffield tinged scream.
Imagine I said that.
Yeah, no, you can say that about Joe Cocker.
No, you can say that.
Anyway, great rock and roll moment. We never have any texts in like that, do we? Because we always do silly things.
When did you last wear a monocle or something?
When did you last wear a monocle? We never did when did you last wear a monocle.
It's so arse. Oh, yes, as if we'd never do that. We do have some...
We did do Who's Got More Money, me or Lee Mack.
This morning, right?
Yeah.
Still not had much resolution on that. Actually.
No, I think that was a if you can have a rhetorical texting.
Yeah.
Well, if riches were comedy, I'd say you're pretty much even Stevens.
Did we find out though if they still give a thank you for that? If they
but you're more obviously
a little bit more.
Yeah,
but
obviously. But I have to,
I am an enormous fan of Lee Mack.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. So
454.
Yes.
Morning, Frank, Emily and Alan. Hearing you refer to monocles reminds me of working as a young optician in the late 80s, putting a new lens in a monocle for Dennis Thatcher.
Wow.
He was very pleased with it. That's from Rob.
He was a spectacles wearer, wasn't he, Dennis Thatcher?
Well, only half the time, it turns out.
I had no idea that he was a monocle. I suppose Margaret said it doesn't look good when we're trying to be down to earth, Dennis, if you wear a monocle.
Maybe what you thought were spectacles was actually two monocles.
Yeah, maybe it was the shadow of his monocle being cast across the other eye. Yeah. He was always lit from the side, Dennis Thatcher. Like there's a story about Marlene Dietrich, the famous German actress who got on set of a film. And they said, right, we'll do the first rehearsal. And she said, just a minute, darling. And walked around and changed all the lights. Oh. Literally went like with the spanner and changed the settings of the lights with the lighting man looking on in horror. Yeah. And she turned back, looked at him and said, cheekbones, dear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I respect her for that. She had got great cheekbones.
Well, I reject certain tables in restaurants. if the light is not good. I do. If I walk in and the light is terrible, I say, let's not sit there.
I prefer to sit in complete gloom nowadays. I'm like that. You know those people you get on hard-hitting documentaries who are in shadow and they've used the voice of an actor?
Yeah.
That's the look I'm when I dine out.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about bright light or dip light, and in restaurants, for example, we have a sort of constant running battle in our house of Kath turns the light to sort of moody dim lighting, and I like it cranked up to like office strip light level. When I get up in the morning, like this morning, I get up, I put the light, I crank the light up full, and the dog. You don't often see a dog squint, but the dog is honestly doing that. Oh, that is actually a bit bright. That it's doing that thing with its eyes. Oh,
The dog is like Marky Smith after a heavy night.
exactly. There is no Marky Smith that isn't after a heavy night. What are you talking about? That's just a chronological fact.
You're so right. Just your dog is like Marky Smith.
The squinting dog. Great name for a pub.
Yeah.
I'd
So
go there.
other phrases, we're talking, aren't we, Al, about phrases that are sort of on the way out.
Possibly on the way in.
Yeah, there's I tell you what you'd never hear now. In fact, one could almost say millionaire S. You know, for the female millionaire.
Yeah.
No, you're still the term millionaire is still bandied about a lot in the press. But there's obviously a lot of millionairesses, but you would never hear, for example, Claudia Winkleman described as millionairess Claudia Winkleman.
No.
I don't know why
Unless-
that's gone. I'd have thought I know that things like that actress has been replaced by actor.
Yeah.
But you don't even get millionaire Claudia Wink. And you'd think we should be celebrating, equal pay and all that.
Even if you're
stuff.
Googling Claudia Winkleman net worth, it probably still doesn't come up.
Exactly. That must be wrong. I used to love Tycoon has gone a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Magnet.
When you say tycoon, who do you think of? I'll tell you what I think of. Is there a character in the Monopoly board? I think it's the man who represents, what's his
The
name?
top hat guy. Has he got a monocle?
Yeah, well, interesting. I think it was one of those strange things where everyone thought he had, I believe it's called the Mandela effect, isn't it? People believed he had a monocle, but he actually didn't.
It's like people used to say to me, you get through quite a lot of beer on fantasy football.
Yeah, that's
because
Mandela
they
effect.
because it was a bit laddish, they just assumed that happened.
Another Mandela effect. I thought I saw demon eyes at the end of Rosemary's Baby. There were
Okay.
no demon eyes.
Why is it the Mandela? What is it about
It's
Mandela?
a long story.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it?
I will
Is it the
tell
long
you
story to freedom? Big Shot, of course, is my favourite, by the way, of the rich people.
Go on.
I just love Big Shot.
I believe it's called the Mandela effect because someone thought that it was something to do with a mass group of people thought something had happened to do with Nelson Mandela, and it turned out like you drinking beer. I mean, it's a strange comparison to make.
Okay.
It was not true.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even more intriguing.
What about?
Impresario, I love as well.
Oh, I love impress.
You know what I love about impresario, best of all? It's got the word impress in it,
Yeah.
which is what what they're up to. Oh, so many linguistic riches out there, and I think we can't replace them all with no-wo.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've been talking about these outdated phrases, and I think I use regularly a phrase that nearly got outdated but is still alive and with us. I use the phrase "act your age, not your shoe size."
Oh yeah.
Do you?
I actually use it in one of my bits of stand-up at the moment as well, but I'm not speaking as me at that point. It's kind of hypothetical reported speech, I suppose you'd say. But I like act your age, not your shoe size. And one of the reasons I think it would have got phased out is if we hadn't left the European Union, because it wouldn't work in EU sizes, would it? Like
43 and stuff. It didn't it didn't work at the big shoe shop at the bottom of my road for oversized feet.
Well, can I say, I mourn those days because I will forever be 36 at least. In footwear.
I'm a 43, I think.
What are you, Al?
43
I'm a 44, I think.
Oh.
It's a 10, isn't it?
You big boys.
I mean, if I'm being immature and someone says stop acting your shoe size, it's definitely better if it's 10.
What's your shoe size? 8, 12, 15.
That's the sort of texting I like.
I believe
Now listen, that would be the jewel in the crown if this was capital.
Well, it was
They'd
Tom
be pleased
Jones.
They'd be pleased with that.
I remember Tom. Yeah, no William Tyndale mentions there.
No.
I remember. I think it was Tom Jones, wasn't it, who said, "At your age, Mama, not your shoe size. Maybe
Did
we
he?
can
Did he?
do the 12."
Is it in a song?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is it in Kiss? Which he
Yeah.
sort of appropriated for himself, let's be honest.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Another interesting thing in this article is it claims that the phrase "a sandwich short of a picnic" is really recent, and it reckons that it's a Lenny Henry spoof song from like 1987 or something. I would have thought that was really early, and
I'd have thought he was referencing it, not inventing
I
it.
think that was the Theophilus P. Wildebeest era.
Ah,
You may recall.
I do recall, yeah.
But I'll tell you what else crops up in the phrases set to be made obsolete is "know your onions."
Mm-hmm.
And this makes me sad.
you're not a fan of the Onion, are you?
Well, not a fan. Satan's root, as I call it. Despite
That's what I call the M25.
that needs something. Come on, that needs something. That needs attention must be paid.
There you go.
Oh, I love Satan's root.
So, know your
Can I say
onions.
he's a very funny man, Frank Skinner.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to use that on my
Right,
publicity.
One of my favourite...
There was a TV show called Know Your
Was
Onions,
there?
if I remember rightly. Was it with Jack DeMarnio?
What about...
What's happened to this show? Is it like it's like the last days of Pompeii? Say anything you want to say.
Yeah. What about when Frank McClintock said to me, I found myself in a box with him.
Did you really?
Yes. I won't go into the details.
No.
And he said we were talking about former Arsenal players. And he said, I'll tell you what, this lady knows her onions. I like this lady.
Yeah.
Lovely use of the word lady.
What about when I was in the Sahara Desert and there was a sandstorm? This is true. There was a sandstorm and I saw this figure in like shockingly white Arabic clothing wrapped right around his face. A tall figure coming through the sort of orange landscape from this sandstorm. And when he got close, he pulled the cloth down and it was Terry Neal, Arsenal and Northern Ireland central defender.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great moment. I think he told me to go to his sports bar. Just took the edge off it.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Hold it, me smoothies in the bright sunlight. That's gonna bobble up nicely. This is Frank Skinner. As far as I can remember, on Absolute Radio. You can. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm with Emily, Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 8 12 15. Follow the show, if anyone can follow this show, on Twitter and Instagram, at Frank on the Radio. And email the show via...
Well, Frank,
Via frank at absoluteradio.co.uk. Yes, I am.
Pause to burp.
I'm sorry, that was awful. I apologise to all our listeners. Yes.
Steve Myers, you were just referring to your smoothie.
Do you know Steve Myers? No, but thanks for the tip. Yeah, go on, my smoothie.
Steve Myers, do
It's
you
not
have...
euphemism.
I like that Frank's turning into some George Formby song.
Sorry.
Do you have any updates on the smoothies situation? I remember from previous podcasts, Frank was quite disappointed with them. And I wondered if you still use that particular vendor or if they've gone out of business due to the poor reviews.
Well, I have in my right hand a bottle of Grassroots,
All right,
which
Chamberlain.
is the brand name.
Yeah.
Cold pressed, apparently. I have no idea what that means.
Or we'll get text.
Cold pressed as opposed to the sort of Corby trouser press, which heats things up a bit.
Pressed has really come into vogue recently.
The pressing game. That's a new football thing you hear said a lot. Anyway,
yeah,
listen.
yeah.
So the one I've got, and we may have had this one before, is a strawberry, banana, and mango smoothie. You got those? You got those three: strawberry, banana, mango. Ingredient: orange juice, 67%.
Oh,
Do I need to go any further?
yeah.
And a little afterthought: may contain nuts and celery.
Disgusting.
Celery? No, I mean,
What
may
is this,
contain
soup?
nuts. Yeah, exactly. As I've always said, eating a stick of celery is like eating a violin.
What animal sits in the celery eating chair?
Ooh.
I think there is one, is there not?
Is there? I
Maybe not.
can't picture.
What animal sits in the carrot eating chair?
Well, that's the rabbit, presumably.
Oh, I say I would have gone donkey.
Oh, yeah.
Presumably slugs or worms can enjoy the celery because it's like a sort of a log flume or a
Yeah,
slide
that's-
for them.
Oh, when
Yeah.
you say enjoy, I can't imagine a slug saying, do you know what? I really enjoyed
No
that.
one's ever enjoyed celery.
No slug has ever enjoyed anything in their life.
It is no coincidence that the word celery is so close to the word cutlery. Because celery is basically the thing that you use to scoop out the nice tasting dip. But celery itself, apart from the noise, it contributes nothing.
Oh, well, you say that, but what about a Waldorf salad?
Yeah, but only because it's masked heavily by its accomplices. I mean, you wouldn't. There's not. If you had one without it, I don't think it would. I don't think anything would be lost. That's my celery there summed up on Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I tell you what I don't like.
What?
Clickbait.
No.
I fall for that. It really.
You'll never believe what this woman looks like now.
Yeah, I don't even look at those. That's really unpleasant. What you mean? People get older? Who knew? Mm-hmm. But what I mean is shock signing at West Brom. Oh my God! Callum Robinson, West Brom midfielder, signed autographs for an old age pension. As he left the ground. All that. I really hate that.
Listen, I was.
They ought to be banged to rights.
At
Don't know what that means. But people
Sycamore
say
was one of the obsolete phrases.
banged to rights. What on earth does it mean?
I don't know, but I think you and R. Keith are the only people that still say it.
I don't think I say it. Too late, I've said it.
R. Keith still says Gogglebox.
He does say Gogglebox, yeah. But not about the TV show,
What was
about
he
television.
context would he say then? He'd say,
He's saying I was watching the Gogglebox last night. I think he would.
Wow.
Anyway, I don't want to put words in our Keith's mouth.
I love R. Keith.
I love our Keith.
At Sycamore Flint, Frank.
Sycamore Flint, yeah. What is that fabulous song from musical theatre about Sycamore?
Is it
It's-
from Oklahoma?
Oh, no, it's Seymour, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Seymour's here
Feed
or
me
something.
Seymour.
What is it?
Feed me
Is this from
Seymour.
Little Shop of Horrors?
It might, but it's sort of Seymour's here, so great. Oh, man.
At Sycamore Flint, obsolete sayings. Is it true that only teachers ever said woe betide?
Ah.
And do they still say it?
No, they don't say
Is it still taught in teacher training?
No.
No, it's gone.
That question
I'm
to the
guessing
only
so.
former teacher among us, Frank Skinner.
I think the leather elbow pad has also gone. And I think,
that's a shame.
I'm not sure bad breath is as popular amongst teachers as it used to be. Everything's changing. Here's what I want to ask you about: a couple of terms that not that they've gone out, but they never quite made it. And there's one I heard referred to recently: thousands on a raft. Do you know that?
Oh, no. What's this?
Thousands on a raft was a term for beans on toast.
Oh.
And it's actually in a Kinks song called Motorway Food. Motorway food is the worst in the world. Never taste food like it tastes on the motorway. Motorway food is the worst in the world. And I used to think it meant hundreds and thousands. You know those little coloured things you used to get on...
sprinklings.
Wow.
You used to get them on white buttons, white chocolate buttons.
Mm-hmm.
There was an Americanism in American diner culture of Adam and Eve on a raft, which was 2 poached eggs on toast.
Oh.
There you go.
Why poached eggs,
nice.
though? Should have been an apple. Apple on toast.
Because it's represented by the 2 eggs.
That's funny because I heard someone in an American diner in Cleveland use the term cackleberries, which means eggs.
Oh.
Because chickens cackle and...
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, but that didn't catch on either.
Carmen in sunny... Is it Woburn Sands, you say, Frank?
Woburn?
Yeah.
If you like.
I just don't know if is that sort of near your area, Woburn?
No.
Oh, where's Woburn? Oh, it's an abbey, so I associate it with you.
Okay.
424. I love celery. Voice of controversy, but let's continue. Chopped up thin, grated cheese, and thrown in some shredded salad. What's not to like, Frank? That's from Carmen in sunny Woburn Sands.
Again, though, accompanied by things with flavour. It's like being sneaked into a gig, you know what I mean? Surrounded by an entourage of stuff like cheese and salad dressing. Also, I bet if we what is her name?
Carmen.
If we look up Carmen Woburn, we'll find something like CEO Celery Marketing Board. Just try Googling that. That's my prediction.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Al?
Yes.
507. Let's discuss.
I like this.
So do I.
Would you like me to read it?
I
to
would,
Frank?
thank you.
Okay. Dear Frank, re-obsolete sayings. My grandmother used to say, "Punch has done dancing," when it was too late to do or say something, akin to the train has left the station.
Yeah.
Gran was a Londoner. I presume the phrase came from the dance that Mr. Punch did at the end of a Punch and Judy show. I hadn't heard the phrase for 30 years until my cousin told me her mum used it too. Inherited from Gran, I guess. Cheers, Col.
Punch
Now,
has done dancing.
You're our Punch and Judy expert on the show.
I've never...
You got.
It's the
never
sort
heard
of
anyone.
old school Elvis has left the building. Punch has done dancing.
It's a bit like, I don't know if you can still say this, but it's a quote. It ain't over. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never heard Punch has done dancing, but I do... I've written that down.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in...
Yeah.
What's weird is that this article that says that something like 78% of the people didn't understand these phrases, and I thought, well, actually, my speech is about 78% these phrases.
Do people still say ignorance is bliss?
Yes.
Because
Largely the ignorant.
Ignorance is bliss, I think, used to mean that if you didn't know something, like if somebody was, slagging you off and you didn't know about it, it wouldn't hurt you.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think it got a bit darker and came to suggest that stupid people are the only people capable of true happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
There's some truth in that.
intelligence brings a certain pain.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I think it probably is true that the only pop star brothers who don't hate each other are Jedward.
Yeah.
And that does seem to,
Yeah, it does.
I'm not
It's
saying it
best
backs it up,
story.
but I mean, one
No.
could bring that in as Exhibit A.
Yes.
if there was a court case about whether or not ignorance was bliss.
We've also had 774 has got in touch, Frank. Morning, Frank and the team. Definitions from my childhood. We were talking earlier about Adam and Eve on a raft. Beans on toast. Skinheads on a raft.
Oh, so
yeah.
not thousands on a raft. Okay.
She's then shared another one which is somewhat inappropriate for this time of the morning. So
Okay.
we'll
Yeah.
discuss that.
Well,
off
I
air.
mean, you think referencing a violent subculture is okay?
Well, excuse me, man whose first love in literature was Frank?
wasn't my first love, but we did all read the book Skinhead.
Skinhead
That's
Escapes.
Skinhead Escapes was the sequel to Skinhead.
Well, so what was his
was it?
trajectory?
Then it
he
went,
was
um,
merely Suede Head, was he? Or was that different?
Suede Head was further along, and Boot Boys, I think that was when he knew he was done.
I don't like the sound of Boot Boys.
I think the whole series ended with them side parting, didn't it?
Yeah.
Side parting and a mortgage.
As I once heard a skinhead say, I generally have number one, which is like really, really short. I have number one or number two for court appearances.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
I was saying in a dressing room last weekend that I find myself declaring the road to hell is paved with good intentions quite a lot these days. And somebody else said, oh, I like no good deed goes unpunished. So I think he and I are on a similar trajectory these days.
And my dad's reason for not voting Labour was if you put a beggar on horseback, he'll ride into hell. Something you never hear on party political broadcasts.
Yeah, that's not on the daily politics. very
No,
often,
never.
is it? I don't
Never
know if that
seen that.
exists anymore.
Beggar. It's some other phrases that were on the obsolete list were spend a penny.
Oh yeah. Well, you can see why that might have gone, because people don't. I think if you go to, do you have to pay at women's toilets as well?
I never pay anywhere. Do you pay at women's? I don't really know. I don't know.
Do you not, Mavis?
Emily doesn't pay because she lies on the floor and just does a commando roll under the those sort of turnstiles.
I
She
do.
sort of
You know what?
shuffles
I don't.
on her elbows right through.
The reason I don't really know is because I don't want to boast.
Go on.
I'd say I've got reasonable control.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
leave it there
Oh,
in that area.
Well,
it's
that's good.
it's
Well,
something I've always had.
I've got reasonable control when it's 20 pence. You'd be surprised.
Can you imagine what Alan
You'd
could go
be
3
surprised.
days?
Oh, Alan will go
yeah.
a week. I don't even think about it.
I pre-plan it. I wear a nappy everywhere I go
Yeah.
for exactly this.
Yeah, so I can see why that's gone, because it's not a penny. No one would ever. There is no vending machine now, is there, that would require a penny to get you into
But there
a
are
place.
numerous things that we no longer do, and yet the phrase remains. Now, I know a relatively, I'd say he's quite a famous comedy writer. We'll discuss him off air. Who said that was a deal breaker for him. He was on a date with a lady,
Yeah.
and it was actually going okay. And then she visited the latrines and said, "Well, I'm just going to pop off and spend a penny," and he left.
Okay,
He said, "I can't date someone that says that."
Oh, that's hard.
Oh, I thought it was just that she was obviously a bit flagrant with money, and he thought we're incompatible.
Those
Yeah.
are your deal breakers, Al.
Or it was a hint
Yeah,
that maybe he
exactly.
should pay. The old-fashioned style, the old ways.
Yeah,
we
I'd be
heard
like,
from the-
shall we go
Oh,
Dutch
sorry.
on this? We'll pay half a pence each.
Have we? They've gone, haven't they? Half pence. They've gone. haven't
Yeah, they've gone.
I miss the half p. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Well, you would do
Yeah.
with your constitution. I'm afraid I find it very hard to put the handbrake on at that stage.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I've decided I love T-Rex. I saw them at the Birmingham Odeon in about 1971. and the screaming was so loud that it provided a sort of psychedelic backdrop sound to the whole gig, and it's sort of the sound moved around the theatre like a big sort of cyclone of noise. Okay, musical reminiscences here on Absolute Radio.
A review of a show Frank saw in 1971, ladies.
I think it was 71. It was certainly early 70s. I remember people queued overnight for tickets, and me and my mate Fairs just turned up on the morning and walked straight to the front of the queue. Nobody stopped us. We didn't know.
That is a good musical memory.
We were
Mine
bad
is Bob Hoskins as Nathan Detroit. Nathan Detroit, I think he was.
What,
In
in
Guys and Dolls, National Theatre production.
Guys and
Believe it
Dolls?
was, yeah. I mean, I had no control over this. I was taken by my parents, but I saw some good stuff.
I queued for 18 hours in pouring rain to see the Rolling Stones at it was the Goat's Head Soup tour. And we played cards on the pavement of New Street in Birmingham.
That's
and
adorable.
it rained so much that about 6 hours in, the cars physically disintegrated.
Oh,
It was
that's a shame.
we were playing with papier-mâché.
If ever there was a story that needed a golf umbrella, that's it.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't
You
have
could
one.
have sat under it, happy as Larry, couldn't you? Is happy as Larry still a phrase? Have I just...
I think it, yeah.
I like that. Did that come from Larry Olivier?
Who was the... No, I shouldn't
Well,
think
did in my family.
Larry Grayson was always very happy.
He was happier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Curtain Twitcher is out,
Oh, curtain twitching, yeah.
which is a shame, as I feel I've reached that stage in life when I can finally embrace my inner curtain twitcher.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
at the age where I can become a curtain twitcher.
What do they call him now? A blind parter.
Yeah.
Why don't the young people like a curtain? They still use this phrase because they don't have curtains. They have black bin liners and things.
I was driving in this
yeah.
morning listening to Magic at the musicals, which is, I must say, is my station of choice in the car.
Interesting.
It's all right, it's a Bauer.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. Then.
It's in the Bauer House, as I would like to call it. and they played the Deadwood Stage, which has got the lyrics to the Deadwood Stage by Doris Day. So it begins, the Deadwood Stage is coming on over the plain with the curtains flapping and the driver slapping the reins. Oh, it's just beautiful.
Lovely.
Right.
Anyway, what else?
Well,
We're nearly there.
Yeah. Al?
Well, we've had a wide-ranging show, including discussion of how much you and Lee Mack might be worth, and various goalkeepers, and cooking. And Ian Angle has texted one of his jokes. I wonder what is Neville Southall's net worth, which I think is a really well put together joke, given that
Neville Southall's net worth because of the net element.
Yeah, because he was a goalkeeper,
Yes.
and I mean,
Well, Al,
I've not
you
helped
got
it by
joke
waiting
of
for
the
2
Edinburgh
hours
Festival.
before getting the chance to read it.
You got joke. Was it short or joke of the Edinburgh Festival with your
I don't think
keeper
I
joke?
did, but I did have a goalkeeper reference. Yeah, I don't think I won it. I think I was joint something with Simon Munnery.
I think I remember
company
it,
to
Al.
be in,
You
though.
saw a woman with big gloves on and you thought she's a keeper. Was that right?
I think
Something
it was
like
my
that?
first date, yeah.
Ah,
First date.
great. It's a great joke.
Much stolen.
Neville Southall, isn't he? Wasn't his autobiography called The Bin Man Diaries? Because he'd been a bin man previous. I love it. Absolutely fabulous. Anyway, I think we moved to the end.
On that bombshell.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the bin man. It's the bin man something anyway. That's the key element. Episode 5 of my poetry podcast will be out on Wednesday. Who are we doing this week?
Claire.
Oh, of course, Nick Laird. Nick Laird is a very, very fine poet, and I'll be looking at one, which is about a typewriter, actually, coincidentally.
It all links.
Anyway, you can catch up on the first 4 podcasts now from wherever you get your podcasts. Look, thank you so much for listening today. Basically, Ponch has done dancing. But you know what? The good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise. We'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.